Welcome back. In this video, we will build a simple calculator type program using if-else statements that we learned from the previous video. Alrighty, now we're at the point where we know enough about if-else statements that we can go off and try to build a program. So for this one, we're going to try to build a calculator program that takes in two values and then does some sort of mathematical operation on them. So I like to write out what my program is going to do so I know how to map out my variables. So for this one, we need two variables that will contain float values, and a float is basically something that can have a decimal point. And then we need another variable to account for if the operation will be addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So seems pretty easy, there isn't a lot of variables we have to define. So let's get started. Let's define our two variables that will contain the float values, i.e. the two numbers that we want to perform the mathematical operation on. And in Python, there is a way where you can have the user of the program enter in a value, as opposed to having, let's say, a variable num1 equal to 5. That means that every time you run the program, that variable is going to be equal to 5. And that's not a very interactive program. So rather than that, we can use a input function inside of Python. So we're gonna declare this variable. I want it to be converted to a float because otherwise it's gonna be a string, and then I'm gonna write input and enter first number. And if we run this program, it's gonna be right here, enter first number. So I can give whatever value I want, 6, and num1 will be equal to 6. So let's print num1. So if we make it 9, it's going to be 9. And it's got that decimal because I made it a float. Let's do it again. If I want to make it 7.56, 7.56. So that's what this input does. It allows the end user to provide a value that they want that variable to be, as opposed to before when I was writing num1 equals 5. And that means that no matter what happens, that variable is always going to be 5. So we declared our first one, and in similar fashion, we will declare a num2, which will be the same, input, enter second number. So now we have our two variables defined. Now we have to have the user enter in what operation they want to perform. So in a similar manner, we'll put in input and enter operation. Now let's write enter mathematical. Sounds more official. Mathematical operation. So if we run this program right now, let's give it a 6, second number as an 8, and now enter mathematical operation. So I have the option of doing a plus, a minus, a divide, or multiply. So right now it's not doing anything, it's just storing these values because I haven't told it to do anything. So let's make a simple one where it's total equals, so let's call another variable total, which is going to be equal to num1 operation num2. And this is not going to work yet. I just want to show you guys because of the fact that operation isn't going to be defined yet, even though num1 and num2 will be. Yep, you see that right there, right? Because the operation isn't defined. So we have to figure out a way to get the operation that we put in into that variable. So if we print operation right here, five, 6, and let's do plus, so we want to add it. So we can see that that operation is equal to plus. So here we're going to utilize the if functions, or the if statements that we learned about on the last video. So I'm going to say if operation is equal to plus, then total, it's going to be the variable that we define, equals num1 plus num2. And just to make it look nice, I'm going to have it print a sentence. So there's many ways to do this. The way I like doing it is if I have multiple variables, I create a bracket, and that's going to hold one variable, and this will be the second variable that I call out. So you put a format here, and then you can reference the variables inside this sentence. So it's going to say whatever is num1 plus num2. So it's going to print that out on the screen. So then I'm going to do print sentence, which is my variable here, which stores this. So if I run this again, and let's just do it for addition because that's what we have called out right now. Let's do 8, and then second digit is 4, and then do a plus. Right? You have 8 plus 4, and I think we forgot to write the print total. Now if we run it again, 5 plus 7, and we can do addition. 5 plus 7 is 12. So it's giving you what it is. And I think now we can expand this out for the other operations. And an easy way to do it is you can just copy this, because you know the first part and the second part is going to be the same. The only thing changing is going to be these values here. So here we're going to make it subtraction. So you update it like so. And then we're going to add in one for multiplication. And finally, we will add in one for division. And we are almost there. There we go. Just put a space there. Oh, put a space there so it looks a little nicer. All right, let's try it out. So let's do 6, 9, and we've already done addition, so let's do subtraction. So this is 6 minus 9 is 3, which is correct. So let's run another one. Let's do 7, 8, and I want to do multiplication. 7 times 8 is 56, which is correct. Let's do another one. Let's do 10, 2, and then we want to divide it. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that's just the basics of how to set this up. You know, we're just using if statements, nothing fancy, just calling out what operation we want to do. And this is great, but one thing you may have noticed is every time we want to rerun it, we have to, you know, basically start our program again. It's not continuing on by itself. And if you wanted to have it continue on by itself, there's other ways to do this. I like using while loops, and you know, we can touch upon this in further videos that I make. But basically, what a while loop does is it's going to sit on top of your program and say, while this condition or whatever condition you want is true, keep doing it. You know, keep running the program. So if we say while x is 5, keep running it until x is no longer 5. And that's kind of what we want to do here. We don't want to have someone come in and constantly update, you know, constantly have to rerun the program, because that's not how programs work. This is just like what we have on the screen right now. It just runs once and then it shuts off. So in order to do that, let's update this a little bit. So I'm going to make this while true, And then I'm going to bring in another variable. That variable is going to ask every time you complete, after you complete a mathematical function, if you want to continue running the program. So that variable is going to be found in here. So continue equals, so I'm going to make it a string, and input, like we did before, would you like to quit? Would you like to quit, right? And that's going to appear on here. And I'm going to update the variable by using a upper function, which means that even if someone writes yes in lowercase and I want to check what they wrote, it's going to convert it to uppercase, so it makes my if statement that I'm going to write a lot easier. So the next step is going to be if this variable is equal to yes, and that was the reason I made it into an uppercase, because otherwise then I'd have to check for if somebody made the first letter uppercase accidentally or something. So this kind of resolves that, those types of conflicts. So if this equals yes, then print you exited the program. And then since we want to exit this program, we need to exit this while loop. And to do that, we can put a break statement, and it's going to exit that while loop. And if this is not true, then we're going to perform all of these operations we have down here. So let me take this and indent it in, as we know that indentations are very important. So everything is aligned. We got the while true. It's going to check that. And if that is yes, then it's going to stop the program. Otherwise, it's going to go on and allow you to perform your calculations. So let's run this and see how it works. So would you like to quit? No, I would not like to quit, yes. So let's put 6, 9, addition. 6 plus 9 is 15. So now we performed our calculations asking, would you like to quit? I still have more calculations to do. So let's do 7, 9, and multiplication. So now you can see it's 7 times 9, 63. And I feel like I've learned enough math for the day. So I'm going to quit. I'm going to write yes. And you exited the program. So this is a very easy way to understand how to use if statements. We didn't need to use a else statement in here, but it didn't call for it in this circumstance. But you can play around with it, see what you like to do, and see what modifications you can make. I'll be putting a couple more programs using if statements and loops in the next couple days, so feel free to come back, check it out. If you like this video, please feel free to comment. If there's anything that you guys didn't understand or would want me to repeat, please also put that in the comments and I can answer your questions. And hope you guys subscribe to my channel, and hope you guys keep programming and have a good day.